Howdy tubers, welcome back to the Zach Life. So I wanted to kind of throw this video out and give you an update, sort of where we're at with the 1693 and the oil pressure. I drove it, put a few miles on it, it's fixed, and kind of what I've been working on, what's next. You know, I keep thinking I'm like a week away from using this thing. There's always these little projects and just keep dragging on, everything always takes forever. It's hot today, I got the air conditioner running wide open. I hope they're not too loud in the video. Anyway, if you didn't watch the previous video, it might have actually been like 2 videos ago. But anyway, we tore the bottom end apart in the motor in this thing. It's a 1693 cat. All right, so I got some plastic gauge and plastic gauges. If you don't know what it is, I don't have time to explain it. You can look it up. Anyway, I put a piece of 3000s plastic gauge in this bearing, or 5000s, I guess, actually. And anyway, this looks extremely good. This is like 2000s or so clearance. The reason we tore it down is it didn't have very good oil pressure. It would only idle about 12 pounds or so, which is lower than I like, but that didn't bother me as much. The fact that it only run, you know, 35 to 40, maybe 45 if you really had it wound up going down the road. Anyway, I got it, drove it down the road, put 20 or 30 miles on it, got it heat soaked and everything, and above about 1500 RPMs, it's running 85 pounds now. And that's the point that little bypass regulator, the pressure regulator, is opening. And in hindsight, I wish I'd left that little shim out of it, the little shim that was in that pressure regulator, because that would have brought that pressure down probably to 60 or so, and I'd rather go down the road to 60. Here's what we got out of here. It had a lock washer dropped in the bottom here as a spacer. Then it had this spacer, and then the spring. It's obviously not supposed to have a lock washer, and it is supposed to have a spacer here. I went and got the parts book looked up, or the service manual, but it looks like it's only probably supposed to be about a third as thick as this. I'm sure this was someone's attempt to raise the oil pressure. They didn't understand how the whole system works. But anyway, now it idles about 22 pounds, 20, maybe 25. You know, at 1000 RPMs, it's about 45 or 50. And you know, anywhere above about 14, 15, 1600, something like that, it's up, you know, up to 80 or so. Anyway, I don't really know what caused the low oil pressure. You know, we tore the bottom end apart and the bearings look great. I can only think of one or two things: of either leaking between the pump and the pressure regulator, and a little bit of silicone fixed it, or another possibility is the pump was leaking between the pump and the block. There's not a gasket there either. I didn't silicone that. But the possibility, what I'm thinking might have happened, is if it had a little sliver of metal or a little rock or something between the pump and the block, and that little piece of crap kept the pump jacked down away from the block, and that caused, you know, just a little bit, you know, 20 thousandths or something would have been a big leak as big as that flange as it bolts the pump to the block. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter, it's fixed. That's the only thing that matters to that. I'm going to take you outside and show you. I made a few little upgrades, kind of show you what I've been working on. I'm actually working on a different trailer. I need to give you an update on the trailer we were working on. I hadn't messed with it any. Let's go take a look at it. See if I can just make this video all continuous segment. I had to replace both of my short cord plugs. The old ones got rained on too much and kind of started blowing up. So I've got those power converters that dump DC power back into my battery bank. There's one of them has got a circuit that you can switch to that comes up here in the SO cable and terminated in this box, and I've added a little power cord, and you can actually plug that in, like if you're going to go to somebody's house or something like that, and you know, just hang out their house for a day. You can just plug a cord in right there, and it's got a switch up there you can flip to help charge your battery banks and run everything else. Give you an update on this trailer we're building. I've got one problem that I'm concerned with, and this may turn out to be kind of a headache, and it's the reason I've been putting this off. I'm afraid in my engineering that I've got the tongue weight too light, and what I may have to do is cut this stuff up and move the axle back 3 or 4 inches. I'm not exactly sure. That is not a big deal. It's just something I hadn't had time to work on. It's also something that may not be necessary. I need to load everything. If you remember last time I loaded the crawler, I I had some trouble getting it all the way forward. The safety chains were kind of wadded up here. But anyway, I need to build, this is going to be extended on up to here, and it's going to be removable. So when we take just a Suburban or a pickup without the crawler, you'll actually pull a Suburban up, you know, somewhere in here. This will lay down low enough. This, like it is, will actually just clear the oil pan and stuff on the Suburban or a full-size pickup. Anyway, that's going to be a, you know, several day project to get that built, and it's not something I've had time to work on. So I got the hitch built today. This is what I've been working on. It's a 3-inch hitch receiver. And you know, it turns into a several hour project and eats up all of Sunday. So anyway, here's what I've been working on the last couple of days. This is my equipment trailer that I typically haul equipment with. I used to haul my backhoe with. I need to fix that thing. It's got the rear end shelled in it. But the floor was rotted, and it was in pretty rough shape. And basically I wanted to take and put a new floor in it, fix the lights up, fix this thing up because it needed done anyway. And once I get this fixed up, I want to pull it behind the motorhome for now, and I can haul my Suburban or whatever I need to. Also, I had to get a set of tires for my Suburban. The front tires are old and rotten. I got them ordered, and I'll probably get those Monday and get those put on. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about this trailer. This trailer is a 99 model. It looks pretty nice, and you know, it's one of those things, you know, you start working on it, you realize what a piece of junk it is. It's got a ton of steel in it, but if you look up and down it, like, they didn't hardly weld anything out. You know, the whole thing just looks like this. You know, there's like a third of all the spots are actually welded. Excuse me. See that? There's hardly any weld on that. Anyway, I like this trailer. We give a lot of money for it. We bought it, it was just a couple of years old. But anyway, I had to completely rewire it, and I want to talk about that a little bit. I've started taking on all my trailers, and I went to like a semi-truck style plugs, and putting actually a plug on the trailer along with a plug on the truck, and so you can just use these cords, and you don't have a cable. You know, if something comes unplugs and drags, all you got to do is get one of those. You don't have to put a new end on their trailer wire. This trailer, you know, to go along with what a piece of junk it was, I got to show you how it was wired. It had a piece of that six conductor wire that ran back to here. It was all split out right there, and then a piece of number 12, and then it ties back into that. It was all, you know, crimped, connected together. Breaks out a piece of number 12 that goes to trailer brakes. The trailer brakes come out here. It's all split up again right back here for the running lights. The running lights actually run on the outside of the trailer back to the front. It was all crimped together there. It was all crimped together here. Anyway, it had 5,000 butt connectors in this stupid thing, and we never could keep the lights working on this. I think Dad bought this trailer in about 05. You know, it was only 6 years old, and we worked on the lights on this thing all the time. The lights never worked. The brakes never once worked since we owned it. I don't think they worked when it was brand new. And anyway, I've rewired this thing, and I wanted to show you how I did it. So I took a piece of 14.3, and I actually just used extension cord, but you can buy, you know, like 14.4 if you got a trailer that's got separate brake lights and blinkers. But I took this wire, this extension cord, and ran it all the way, one piece, no connections at all, anywhere, all the way back to here. Split it open. Took one of the green wires that goes over here to these brakes and blinkers. You know, it's connected right here, heat shrunk and soldered. And so now there's not a single connection, not a single anything between right there and the plug on the front. Anyway, it's so much better. Every connection I've got has been heat shrinked, soldered and heat shrinked, except for this one. I'm going to explain what we got here. So this is the running light wire, the black is the running light wire used out of here. So this wire going forward goes up splits and goes down each side of the trailer. That one wire goes to all the running lights on the front. One wire goes to the running lights over here, one to the cluster in here, and one to over here. And what this allows you to do is, if you're going down the road somewhere, let me back up. I'm going to put a wire nut on this, probably a zip tie right here, and I'm going to leave this wire nutted. And what this allows you to do is, if you've got a short somewhere, you can open all these up, put your fuse back in, and start connecting them one at a time until you find your short. And even if, you know, even if the cluster's shorted, or this light shorted, or even if all the lights, you know, going to the front are shorted, you can just unhook them, put your wire nut back on, and you can have, you know, the lights that you need to have to get home. You can get home with a few lights not burning, but you can have some lights. Anyway, I've done this on several trailers and it works really well. You know, after a decade or so, it'll kind of corrode and the wire nut will fall off, but you just leave enough wire here, you can, you know, trim them all and get another, you know, another decade run out of them. And of course, I ran a piece of number 12 from the front all the way back here for the trailer brakes, and I think I got those fixed. It had a ground, it was broke there, something had hung here, it was unhooked. But I also wanted to show you something else. They ran this wire through this conduit, and I took silicone and put silicone in the end of all, like the little conduit and stuff, and then use the silicone as glue where the wires run, and you know, like that. That'll set up and work really well, keep the wire from chafing or pulling or whatever, and put a big old glob of it, you know, everywhere. But anyway, one more thing I wanted to show you was this, and this is a current limiting power supply. You buy these, some people call them lab power supplies. Anyway, I love this thing, and I wanted to sort of show you what you can do with it. So it's got a voltage output here. You adjust this knob and you can set your voltage, you know, we're at 13.4 volts. And then if you short these together, direct short, you can now control your maximum current. You know, you set your current here at, you know, we'll just set it wide open at 10 amps. And so if you short these out, you won't pull more than 10 amps. I noticed Jay Paydirt's been working on a bunch of his trailer lights. If any of y'all know him or can get a hold of him, you might tell him he needs one of these. Anyway, I can clip those on to the running light part of my lights and run my running lights off of them. Now, what's so cool about this is if you have a short, you can hook that directly up to a shorted trailer, and it'll limit the current to 10 amps or 5 amps or whatever you decide. And so there's no blowing fuses, nothing like that. And you can go over your trailer, start pulling and moving wires, and if you ever get your short unshorted just for a split second, it'll cause the voltage to go up and then turn your lights on. You can actually get your lights to blink or whatever if you're looking for a short. If you got something shorted, that's the best, million times better way to find it than trying to blow a bunch of fuses and cutting wires and guessing. I want to add too, you know, I've switched to this semi-truck style plug. I think this is superior to like an RV plug, and they don't really make a wiring diagram that's set up for trailers like this. They've got the stop and the turn signals broke out in different wires. So I just made up my own wiring diagram, and it keeps people from borrowing my trailers. Anyway, wanted to give you an update, kind of where we're at, what's next. This thing is legitimately ready to go. I think I'm going to try to tie onto that trailer today and go to town and get the wood for it. I'm going to get my help to put the wood on the next day or two. I'm going to try to drive this thing a lot this coming week. If everything works out good, I think we're going to load up, maybe try to go maybe to the Wichita Mountains or something next weekend, just as a maiden voyage. Not promising that, because it always seems like something's always else, but that's kind of the plan. Anyway, I've rattled along long enough. Appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next week when we do something else.